All right, what's funny? I seen somebody bring this up, man, about Austin Reeves may not sign back with the Lakers. We know his history. He got drafted by the Pistons, but told them don't draft him because he didn't want to come to Detroit. He wanted to control his own destiny. So I don't know if you feel the same way about Detroit. You got people throwing hero name out there. We get to some names, but could be a signing trade. Austin Reeves to the Los Angeles Lakers for Jalen Duren. I mean, I don't know how Reeves feel playing with Luka Doncic, especially if LeBron is not going to leave with Detroit. Realistically, he'd be the primary scoring option. He'd be able to do what he do in LA, and he won't be next to a guard that worry about getting his. I think Cade and Asar Thompson would feed him. And also for the Pistons, maybe throwing a couple other pieces. You possibly maybe a Ryu Hachimura. You put him in there with Tobias Harris. Me personally, if I'm the Pistons, which I don't really have a board in front of me, I'm targeting a guy like Walker Kessler. I'm targeting Jeremy Grant because, he already been here. I'm targeting Jeremy Grant, a Walker Kessler. Austin Reeves, I target him as well, too. I mean, can put the ball on the floor, can score. But if he don't want to be here, I mean, if it's just coming to Detroit or he want to stay in LA, and I mean who want to leave LA? I mean it's a weirdo. I mean it's not really for me, but it's nice out there. But state capital, super duper left, not state capital, but taxes and all that. But he'd be a nice fit in Detroit. I mean I think he can really bust out and be the star that he wanted to be. But stacked up against a guy like Hero or Kyrie or Devin Booker or DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine, I think he's right at the top of that list. Probably right after Devin Booker. If he's healthy, you put him there. Known commodity, can score, and he gonna have the green light. Whoever come here is gonna have the green light to do them. You just have to be a willing defender, and that's it. And therefore, guess what? The Lakers value Jalen Duren. Maybe they feel like they can get him over that mental hump playing with Luka. We need a wing scoring, and at the end of the day, I think Walker Kessler will be a free agent. You see what you can do there, possibly get him, or maybe make a deal for a veteran center, which, they had a lot of interest in Miles Turner. He in Milwaukee, they tearing it down. Other than that, I don't know who else out there because there ain't that many good centers left. Maybe you go down to Dallas and get Gafford, or you get the other Lively or something like that, and you just pair him with Stewart and Paul. You try to keep Paul Reed, and you pair them together to play that middle. So I think the Pistons would prefer a center that can shoot, but maybe if you can get Austin Reeves, you can get JD, do that sign and trade, maybe throw a little bit of something else in there, try to get Ryu Hachimura. But personally, I would go get Jeremy Grant at this point. You need that score. He kind of like fading to the bench in Portland. I think that he hadn't played a game in April in so long. He can shoot it. He can score it. You just really need him to tap in to be the elite defender that he was. If he can tap into that, get a Jeremy Grant, you get a Austin Reeves, or and you got K. If you keep Thompson, that's a good run right there. That's a good run. You upgrade Tobias back to Jeremy Grant. That's an upgrade right there. You upgrade Duncan Robinson. You probably slide him to the bench. That's an upgrade, a bench upgrade. K, Thompson. Then at center, you got some work to do to find out who's gonna be your center. I actually pretty much like that. I like those moves. Therefore, if you can keep Ron, I mean, if not, you got to throw Ron in there somewhere, so be it. But if you can keep Ron, Stu, Duncan Robinson, Jenkins on your bench, that's a solid, formidable bench. But, I think that overall, they have no shortage of guys they can put next to Cade. Where they do it, no. They're probably going to come with the same team they came to last year and just talk about development. But Reeves would be nice. I think Reeves would truly be anybody that come play next to Cade, they'd be able to be themselves, scoring wise. If you a killer scorer, the Pistons just gonna feed you. They're gonna feed you. And when you start seeing doubles, then Cade just gonna feed off that. That's just the way it is. You're going to come here and just be able to, score. As long as you give a defensive effort, it's a wrap. You just going to be able to do your thing. You want to see what they got in Cleveland where Mitchell and Harden go cold for 2. You ain't going to see that with Cade in a Reeves or Cade and a Hero or Cade and a Booker or Kyrie. It'll be it'll be very, very rare sighting, But Austin Reeves would be a good pickup. If you don't want to come to Detroit still, that's the only hang up. The Lakers value Duren. We value a wing, and maybe they might value something else that we got over here, to make it work. But if you can push it to Tobias to keep him on the team and push him to the bench, it talks about the Hornets may want that veteran, but if you can push it to Tobias to the bench or split time with him and a Grant or him and a Ryu, I think, and I was hard on Jeremy Grant when he was here. But now it's to the point where you say you get a guy like Jeremy Grant in this lineup with Austin Reeves, Cade, and you put Thompson out there, you dangerous. You dangerous. I think you see Cade efficiency go up, his assists go up, turnovers go down. If you get a guy that can, a stretch 5 that can stretch it, or just somebody that can command the paint and be mentally tough, but I would do Duren for Austin Reeves. And if they wanted a little bit more in Tucson, but it don't even matter. Austin got to want to come to Detroit. I'm pretty sure Duren would have no issue going out to LA playing with Luka. But you be like, well, why would Austin not want to stay in LA? Luka dominate the ball too much. That's it. Now, there might be other, on sign and trade destinations, but I think him coming and play next to Cade, that's very attractive for Reeves. You got a point guard that's going to want to feed you, a point guard that's going to take the tough defensive assignments. I think that'd be a good match made in heaven if, that he can stay healthy and Duren out there in LA, maybe he can get over, he can get away from Wendell Carter, and Angel Reese. He'd be all right. Magic ain't going to be in the finals ever. So, not with that core, but hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I like it. I don't think you would give up. The thing about getting Devin Booker is you're going to give up a lot. You're going to give up a lot. So that's the only bad thing about it. If you going to get somebody, that's the guy you want. When you start talking about Kyrie, Reeves, Levine, DeRozan, guys, like, you ain't got to give up much. They're willing to give up those guys. I mean, people forget about Malik Monk. They could have made a simple deal for Malik Monk, which it sounded like they had a deal for Malik Monk in the offseason, but it fell apart or whatever it was. So even a guy like that, maybe, so I think you're going to start to see cosmetic surgery on the Detroit Pistons roster. I think Terajan Langdon is going to make his, mark. He should. Got the cash flow with the owner behind you. But hey, hit the link in the description. Check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9. Peace.